Let's talk about legacy and how preserving our culture, no matter who you are, no matter what you do, in some way should be a part of the fabric of how you move in this world. My name is Leah T. Porter, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today we are talking about why preserving our culture is one of the most important things that we can do. Stay tuned. So keeping our stories alive, keeping our history alive, whether it be our own personal history or our shared history, is important to make sure that we are archiving or figuring out a way to take those stories, take that history and preserving it. And there's so many ways that that can happen. And listen, like preserving our culture and our history can be looked at in multiple different facets in different ways. But we have to each be intentional about what that looks like for us and what it is that we are doing like in this world and making sure that it's a right fit, of course. An artist that I feel like has done really good intentional work, in my eyes, I look at it as preserving culture, is a Beyonce, especially an artist of our time. With Cowboy Carter, with Black is King, with a lot of her work, there's a lot of intentionality behind the work that she does, the music that she puts out, the visuals that she puts out from her concerts. I did not go to Renaissance, nor did I go to Cowboy Carter, but from the videos that I've seen, like you can just tell the intentionality from the costumes that she's wearing, from the colors that she chooses, from the historical or history aspects and tidbits that she just puts in there that some people may know and some people may not know. But I look at that, especially through the music, as a way to preserve our history. Because of Beyonce, there are people that are learning about country music, the history of country music, how we have played a part historically in country music. And listen, I am a Louisiana girl. I am from Deep South Louisiana, and the whole country, cowboy boots, cowboy hats, that's us. That's a part of our culture, that's a part of our history. And to have a mainstream artist to kind of bring that to the forefront and really put that in the forefront, I feel like is exciting for me because it gets some people interested in, at least in some kind of way, knowing about that history or learning about that particular culture. And I feel like it's so unique. And again, a lot of us would not look at the work that an artist like Beyonce does as cultural preservation, but it is cultural preservation. And she does a fantastic and strategic and again, intentional, which is my favorite word to use, intentional job at that. Now, from a historical standpoint, music, dance, spoken word, poetry, oral history, even photography, film, like those have all been proven ways for us to document and to preserve our culture and our history, especially music. Something like jazz music, you can go, I say all the time, and listen to a Billie Holiday song and listen to so many different artists of certain periods, and you will hear and feel what they were going through at that time. That is cultural preservation. That is preserving our culture. I say even doctors, lawyers, if you are a doctor and you have your own practice, whether that is in the waiting room, you have, a little bookshelf with certain books. If that's on the wall, you have certain paintings or certain pictures that is really with the intention of preserving our culture and educating and teaching. Those are all ways that we can preserve culture or cultural preservation. It does not have to look just one particular way, and it doesn't have to be very straightforward in design how we continue to move and how we continue to preserve our culture and our history. And so it's so important. It is so important. A lot of my work that I do as a mover, as an entrepreneur, as a producer, as a creative director, as a leader, is deeply rooted in cultural preservation. How can I use my work to continue to educate people on not only just our history, but how can I even take things that are happening in this moment, in this time, infuse it into the work that I do for future generations to be able to have and use as a way to learn and to grow. And so cultural preservation is important, is so important. At the heart of cultural preservation, especially for creative people or people who move in a creative space, and listen, that's not just artists. If you are a digital designer, if you are a social media manager, if you're anybody if you're in marketing, if you are a person that is in the business of storytelling, and that is so many different jobs and so many different people. There is a way through your storytelling that you can making sure that you're adding bits and pieces of cultural preservation to the work that you are already doing through storytelling. So why is preservation matter? Because everything that we do is rooted in foundation. Everything that we do is rooted in foundation. And we must always go back to that foundation so that way we can continue to build stronger, better, and more powerful. What isn't preserved is misrepresented. Again, what is not preserved is misrepresented. And we must be the ones that take ownership of telling our stories, whether they be stories of the past, stories of the present, or even stories of the future, like what we want our future to look like. And preserving our culture is a form of empowerment. It allows us to stay empowered and do the empowering, right? It allows us to speak life into people, to give hope, to give some motivation and some encouragement, and allows us to know that we can continue to do the work that we do because of the history that we have behind us and the energy we have behind us and the work of the people that came before us. And we come from that, and we should be proud of that. We use it and can use it as an archival way to continue to build momentum, continue to build energy. So how do I incorporate cultural preservation to my work? Oh my God, in pretty much everything that I do. As I already mentioned, for FE Conservatory, for our dance concerts, the mission and the vision was always to allow the pieces in our show to be a way for the kids to be educated on history and for the audience to be educated on history. Each one of our shows have a theme. We've done, our show this past year was visual arts meeting dance. It was called Dancing the Canvas, which was all about highlighting visual artists of color in their work and how different pieces from different periods and different people really inspired us to create work. And so we had work from Jacob Lawrence that we use as inspiration. We had work from Bisa Butler that we used as inspiration. And we also use local artists as well. Bryant Benoit, who's a really well-known visual artist here in the southern region, and we use his work as inspiration as well. And so that gives us an opportunity, again, through movement, through dance, through the body, to preserve the culture and history of work that has been done before. The work that I do at Park Village, we do roundtable discussions, we do amazing poetry nights, which poetry for me is a part of oral history, right? Telling our history through words. We do dance classes. We do Afro-Haitian, African, Latin, hip hop, ballet. We do all of these different dance classes where people can come and not only learn different dance skills and dance moves, but a lot of our classes, we throw a little history in there as well. So again, being intentional about how you are adding that cultural preservation or cultural aspect to the things that you're doing. And then through programming, I mean, a stage production like Creole Nutcracker is all cultural preservation, right? Where it highlights the Louisiana Creole culture, from the music, the food, the language, the dialogue, the script that is written. We have so many bits and pieces of history. One of our main characters, the Mouse King in the Creole Nutcracker, is almost like a little historian. And so he's taking you to these different parts of Louisiana, and each place that he gets, him and his brother, give you actual facts and actual history about different festivals in Louisiana. And so again, making sure that that history and the culture is really deeply penetrated in that production and in that work. And then my brand new, most recent work, which is called Preservation. My new work that I debuted last year in 2024 called Preservation, How Can We Preserve History Through Our Creative Practice, was built on that. Started off as a journey. I myself began to be highly interested in my own family lineage and history and really knowing where I come from. And in that moment of gathering information from family members and being on this long journey of figuring out where I come from, it made me feel like, okay, well, what can I do? I'm gathering pictures, I'm gathering, videos, I'm gathering books and notes and papers and all these different things. But as a creative, as a mover, as a person who moves in this world creatively, how can I use that to preserve my family history? And so that is what the piece and the documentary preservation is really about, is taking a deeper look into how we each can move in this world, making sure that we are preserving something from our personal history or from our shared history. And the documentary and the piece takes a deep dive into how music, dance, film, technology, and crafting, how all 5 of those have historically been a way for us to preserve our culture and our history, but then also taking a deep look of how can we be more strategic and intentional about making sure that we are using those 5 outlets to preserve culture. So yes, creation and preservation are on the same side of the same coin. Like, really and truthfully, they go hand in hand. If you are a creator or you create, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what your job title or your role is, there is a way that you can infuse and tuck in or put in some type of cultural preservation through the storytelling that you do. And that is very important for all of us to try to figure out how to do that intentionally. Please make sure that you like this video, and more importantly, to subscribe to my channel if you want to continue to see more dialogue on topics like this and more. And go ahead and comment below, what are some ways that you have preserved culture, or how are you interested or intrigued by this video and maybe thinking about ways that you can preserve culture in the work that you do, in the industry that you are in. And so yeah, see you all next time.